I'm excited to be here today with you, Connor. We're gonna have lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of fun. Tell me all about Connor.
Connor, he is the sweetest little angel baby in the world, and he's always, always happy, aren't you? And he loves to dance, and he loves lights, and he loves fans. Yes, as soon as I said dance, and he just loves cause and effect, and he's just the sweetest little angel. I think he just brightens up a room and wants to cuddle with everyone. As you can see, he wants everything on. He's the youngest of 4, so he is the baby, and he'll be 14 next month. Right. Are you a big boy? And Connor has Lissencephaly, so I can explain what that is.
I would love to learn about it, sure.
Yeah. Oh, hi, sweetheart. I know, see, he loves to cuddle. So his brain is smooth, so when he was in the womb, a gene that was responsible for forming the brain mutated and caused his brain to malform, so it's flat. He doesn't have the folds in the brain like normal people do. So with that, comes intellectual disability, feeding disorders. He's got low muscle tone, seizures, and a feeding tube, and he's just a happy kid. It's just the seizures that scare us the most. So.
And just so people who are watching understand, Connor is saying on. He likes when I turn the lights off and on, correct?
Oh yes, it's his favorite thing to say.
Connor, look. Off. On.
Sometimes he has lights at his dad's where you clap and they turn on, so that's why he's doing that. He's magically wants you to turn the light on. Yes. Can you say yay?
It worked.
Yay, look, he turned it off. Look at that.
What is it like to be the mom of a person with Lissencephaly?
I would say it's challenging yet rewarding at the same time. Connor requires a lot, 24/7 care. But he just makes me happy. And I love watching him accomplish new things. If he's standing or saying a new word, just that feeling is it's just like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's the most rewarding feeling ever. Like, wow. And I know that, the care and the love of me and his siblings, it helps with that. I think he feels it, and because of that, Connor's able to do what he does.
Tell me all about your brother.
So this is Conor Man right here. He's been my biggest inspiration throughout my life, and I'm extremely grateful to have lived with him. I couldn't imagine life without him. I don't think really any of us could.
Has having Connor as a brother impacted your life course?
Certainly. I think before Conor was born, I had a lot of career aspirations, from like engineering to baseball player. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And then when he was born, I think that just instilled like a aspiration for me to get into healthcare, specifically to be a pediatric neurologist like his doctor is. Hey, little guy. And I've taken every step I needed to get where I am today. Right now I'm applying to medical school and just had my first interview on Friday, and thinking about it, I'm very grateful that he got me on this career path, because it's the most rewarding thing that I think anyone can do with their lives.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Would you say you will have a greater sense of empathy with the people you work with because of your brother?
Certainly think so. I think Conor he's definitely strengthened my sense of compassion with others, my sense to just, my sense to bond with others and feel that deep connection.
What do you wish other people would understand about Connor and Lissencephaly?
I really want, to raise awareness, right? Because it's just such a rare condition. It's like 1 in 100,000 kids are affected by this. When you say Lissencephaly to anyone, people are like, what is that? What does that mean? And what does that mean if you have a smooth brain? There's just a lot. And if your brain is abnormal, it just, like I said, it controls so much. And, he'll never be able to live alone and enjoy the things that normal kids his age do. He'll always need assistance.
How would you describe Connor's disability to somebody who's never heard of Lissencephaly?
And that's a tough one because a lot of people don't have the basic biological knowledge to really understand what's going on up here, like biochemically and neurologically. So the way I explain it is everyone's seen a brain, everyone knows what a brain looks like, and everyone knows it has faults. So I usually just say, the normal grooves and ridges that are in the brain, they didn't form properly in Conor's. And because of that, he is the way he is.
How would you describe it to a neuroscientist?
To a neuroscientist, I would say there is a mutation in his DYNC1H1 gene that caused him to not have his sulci and gyri manifest properly into their proper function or their proper structure. And because of that, he has a dysfunction and deregulation in his neural activity, which causes his seizures and intellectual and developmental issues.
Does Conor's brain have any folds?
It has more folds up at the top, the frontal lobe, but his temporal and occipital lobes are pretty flat. And the occipital lobe is responsible for vision, so he has cortical vision impairment. So we don't know how much Conor can see. He needs a lot of contrast. He could be sitting here and there could be a little mouse, crawling on the floor. He wouldn't see it unless it was lit up and flashing lights. I think he builds a pattern in his head when he gets around the house. It's that he builds a map so he knows where he's going in the wheelchair because he doesn't run into things a lot. And he doesn't really look at you directly in the eye either. So we don't know how much he can see, but I know he can because he does get around.
Tell me about the way that Conor communicates.
So he'll grab your hand if you want you to turn something on. He'll clap when he's happy. If he's upset, he kind of picks his teeth or he grunts. He'll cry. He'll do a fake cry sometimes if he doesn't want to work at school or do something. But usually he'll point or grab my hand. But we know what Conor wants right now.
He wants the lights on and off?
Yes. He loves your lights, huh?
So him clapping is telling me to turn it off and on because
it's going to cause something when he claps. Yeah, and if he loves his head rubbed, so he'll grab my hand and he'll want me to rub his head and he'll say head. He'll want me to pet the dog. He'll grab my hand and put my hand on the dog. And he loves dogs. He calls them oof-oofs. Are they oof-oofs?
If somebody wants to be Conor's friend, what should they do?
Usually rub his head or cuddle him. He just loves the cuddle. Like the kids at school, they come up to him and they just give him hugs and he loves it. See, this is he's grabbing my hand. But yeah, he's just friendly with everyone. It could be a perfect stranger just walking along the road and he'll just grab someone's hand and want that person to pet his head or give him a hug.
Would Conor like if I sat beside you guys?
Go ahead.
I'd love to get to know Conor.
Yes,
you could teach
come
me
sit.
how to be his friend.
Come sit.
Cool, let me just set up my camera.
Look who's gonna come see you. Look, he's gonna come say hi. Look.
Hi, Conor. I'm excited to be here with you today. How do you hope people react when Conor might be making loud vocalizations and he's exploring new things?
That's interesting. Just for example, this morning we went to H-E-B. You called it the Heave. He loves to go grocery shopping, and they have a special cart called Carolyn's Cart for special needs kids now. So I take him, and at certain points in the store, like if he sees a balloon, he starts screaming and yelling, right? Because he wants the balloon. And some people will look at you and they kind of look. I don't see dirty looks, but people are, it's alerting to them, right? And some people are like, oh, he's so cute, and they'll come up and they'll talk to Conor. But then, sometimes I've been in line and I've had a woman just look back and just give him a dirty look, and it was like, what is your problem? He doesn't know any better. Like that's what I said. He doesn't know any better. He's happy, and that's how he expresses his happiness and how he feels. And because he doesn't, talk and he's just a happy kid. So I just don't know why some people have a problem with it and they just don't know. They've never been around it. But you can tell the people that have, they react differently. They want to get to know Conor.
If somebody wants to be Conor's friend, what should they do first?
And turn on. Do you want him to rub your head? Do you want him to rub your head?
Well, he might have been answering my question himself. I should have asked him. He said turn on. So a little head rub and turning on. and off.
And this is what he does to show you he's smart. He licks his lips. Are you smart?
So why does that mean that he's smart?
So when he was in feeding therapy, that's the way that they would get him to like lick the yogurt off his lips. So it's like, look how smart you are, Connor, and he would lick his lips. And then now, ever since we say, "Oh, you're smart," he licks his lips. It's so funny. Connor, can you give him cuddles?
Do you want me to bring this light in, Connor? I know that you love turning lights on and off. But you know what? This light is pretty cool because we can bring it all the way off the stand. And since you love turning lights on and off, maybe you could help me with this one. Off. On. Would you like to hit it? It's right here. How many children do you have total?
I have 4.
Is Connor the youngest?
Yeah, he's the baby.
What is it like having Connor and his needs, but also managing the needs of 3 others?
Yeah, that's very hard. It's because he requires a lot of my attention. You know, and Tally's the princess, so she's the only girl out of 3 boys. My older boys were older. You know, they understood when Connor was born. They were already teenagers, but Tally's only 2 years older. And I think it's hard because I used to do so many things with my kids, you know, go to a lot of the games, you know, football, basketball, baseball. I used to go to all the Tally things, but there's, you know, when Connor being in and out of the hospital with him and having to take him, and even now he's so big, it's hard. So it kind of impacts the time I spend with my other children because Connor's usually with us as well. So it's changed. I think it was probably harder on my daughter more than anything because she's closer in age and she didn't understand when she was little.
What is it like to have a brother like Connor?
It's good. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's good.
Can there be challenges?
Yeah, there are some. In middle school, I used to get bullied a lot because I had a brother who had special needs, and a lot of people would bully me and him and say a lot of weird stuff. So that was one of the challenges.
He likes when people give him head rubs?
Oh, yes.
Hi, Connor.
You're getting cuddles.
Thank you for cuddles.
Oh.
It's really nice to meet you.
He's the most persistent little kid ever.
Tell me about some of the things he perseverates on in the daily.
Oh, the lights and the fan. Sometimes he's playing with the fan and it unplugs from the wall, and he will just on until I'm pulling it back in the wall.
So if you have friends or family over and Connor is perseverating on something, what's the best thing they can do to help? Is it just a matter of allowing him to be him?
Yep, allow him to be him. Yep. You want to get down? Okay, we'll get down. You want to get down?
He's very stubborn. He doesn't like you messing with him a lot, but if you can get his attention, oh my God, it's the most heartwarming thing that you can go through, isn't it, Connor? You're a love bug.
Is it okay to let Connor be in his own world and do his own thing?
Absolutely, and I think just like every kid, you should give them that sense of autonomy. And I think Connor, we treat him like every other kid. He should have that sense of independency. Obviously, with his condition, we got to keep an eye on him at all times. But for the most part, he needs to explore around. He needs to see what he likes, what toys he likes, and just really get a feel for his interest in life.
You want the light on? Can you say please? Show him how you say please. Show him how you say please. Show him how you say please. See if he signs please.
Thank you for using your manners.
What a good boy. Yes, he's doing the light. Oh, you want that one on?
Is he saying light on?
Yeah, on.
Where's the switch for that one? I'll go turn it on.
That one right over there.
Okay. I'm gonna get it on for you, Connor. Is it this one right here?
Yeah, the one next to it on the right. Yeah, there it is. Are you happy? Is it on? Is it on?
And one.
Has he always been able to communicate wanting the lights on and off like that? Or is that something he learned?
He learned that, God, he was so little. I think he was around like maybe 4 or 5. He started the light on thing. Yeah. I think may have been like his first words.
How old was he when he said that?
He was about, I think, around 4 or 5, I think. And now what he does is he throws things out of his bed or throws a toy and then he says, So he purposely does something. Right, Conor? I know, you're so silly. And he's very strong.
Tell me about Conor's mobility. Can he walk? Is he a wheelchair user? How does he get around?
Wheelchair, mostly. He can crawl. He kind of army crawls. He sits up. He can scoot on his butt. He can go up and down the stairs. He gets on his butt and just scoots down the stairs, crawls up the stairs. He has a plasma car that he pushes around, a scooter at school that he pushes around. But he figures it out. You know, he can pull up to standing. He can't walk, but he can, hold on to a table and stand.
So right now your brother's kind of doing his thing and he's exploring my equipment, looking at my lights and my tripod. Does he kind of like to explore the environment and do his own thing?
Yeah, he likes lights and he likes to turn them around and stuff. And he likes like loud noises and stuff like that.
Will he like if I clap?
Probably, yeah.
Yay!
We thought even he was born normal. He was just small for his age, and I had a normal pregnancy and a healthy pregnancy. The seizures is what triggered us to go to the hospital and learn his diagnosis.
Once the seizures started, did the diagnosis come right away, or was it a long and tedious process?
Yeah, no, they did the MRI, and that gave us the results. They pulled us in, they showed us what his brain looked like, and they compared it to like a normal brain, right? His was more flat, and he didn't have the folds. Whoa!
I'll hold on to that.
Okay. So his occipital lobe, that's why he has cortical vision impairment, because the occipital lobe controls a lot of the vision. So his is flat and his temporal lobes are flat. And his frontal lobe is probably the one that has more folds in it.
What is it like to sort of readjust your expectations of having a child who you think is going to develop typically to one who has a disability and is going to be delayed with milestones and perhaps never hit other milestones?
You just kind of deal with things as they come at you, And you don't know what Conor's going to do next. Like I just take things day by day, and this is the life and that Conor has, and we figure it out, He figures it out, we figured it out. As long as he's happy, I'm fine. If he doesn't reach the milestones he's supposed to, and as long as he's happy and not having seizures, we're all great. It's the seizures that scare me the most, the seizure monster, because that's when you feel helpless and it is just out of your control, and the first thing you want to do is just stop them. It's the scariest feeling in the world.
How often does Conor have seizures?
Well, he used to have them as a baby every day. We got those to stop, and then they were every week. And ever since he got the vagus nerve stimulator, the VNS, he's been seizure-free. The only time he had seizures when he was sick. He got the flu last year, and we were in the hospital for a week, and he had a seizure that lasted 2 hours, and it was the scariest thing.
What is a VNS implant?
So it's a vagus nerve stimulator is what it stands for, and it's like a metal plate that goes under the muscle, and there's a wire that connects to the vagus nerve. So he has an incision here, and it goes off every minute for like 20 seconds, and it continuously goes off, and it prevents his seizures from happening. And if he has a seizure, then we have a magnet that we hold for 5 seconds over the plate, and it triggers the vagus nerve. And they just say something about stimulating the vagus nerve stops seizures, and it has been amazing because it's worked for Conor. We don't have to give him Diastat. We can stop the seizure with the magnet. And it doesn't work, for all kids, because I know some moms, their kiddos are still having seizures. It's reduced them, but Conor's one of those poster childs for VNS implant, and thank God it's worked for him.
What is it like to be Conor's stepdad?
It's actually been a great experience. I mean, I obviously when I met Conor's mom, Conor was here, so I kind of, as the relationship grew, with my wife, it also grew with Conor, and it's been a great. We've been together 8 years. We've been married just about 5 years. And it's been a great experience.
What have you learned about Lissencephaly over the past 8 years?
What I've learned is it's very rare, obviously. It can take many different forms. A lot of the kids have different experiences with Lissencephaly. And some higher functioning and lower, more severe. But as it relates with Conor specifically, I mean, Conor's probably the happiest kid I've ever met. I think focusing on what Conor can do is more important than on what his condition is.
Tell me about some of the things he can do.
I mean, he can light up a room with his personality, and he's super energetic and super persistent, as you are probably experiencing a little, and just has a love and pureness to him that's pretty amazing.
And I think the fact he had infantile spasms, those are seizures when he was a baby, it really delayed his development a lot. Like every time you have really bad seizures, it really sets him back. He is very persistent too. Yeah.
That's good. You have a goal and you know what you want and you're communicating it. That's a good thing.
Hi, he's doing the right. Can you give mommy cuddles?
Does Conor's energy change when he's around you?
Absolutely.
How so?
I think right now, he's got that smile on his face. He loves being around me, and like I said, he can't speak, but his nonverbal communication, some of the noises he makes, he just expresses that utmost excitement when he's around me.
Tell me about the communication abilities Conor does have.
So he's got a few nonverbal communication skills. For example, he can say please. Conor, can you say please? Can you say please, buddy? Can you say please? Say please for Chris. Are you being stubborn? Yeah, he'll rub his chest. That's how he says please. So he's a smart little guy. He knows where his head is. He knows where his nose is. He can identify his mouth. I think he can do, I know you're saying please. He can do a few more things. And verbally, he can say a few words. Colors is one of his strong suits. He can say red, blue, green, and he does it in the cutest little tones. He loves saying light on, light off. And he can say door as well. So a few things here and there, and he's learning every day.
What is your biggest goal for Conor's future?
I want to see him live a long, healthy life. I will care for him for as long as I can until I'm physically unable to. And he's heavy. He's 73 pounds now, and I know that his siblings will take care of him when I'm long gone, but I want him to definitely outlive me, and I want him to always be around, people and have that social interaction with other kids, his age or younger, because he loves to be around people.
What advice would you have for a kid about the same age you were, 10 years old, who just found out they have a sibling with a disability?
It's a tough one. And I would say, just be there. Be there for your family. It's tough. You're not going to know the answers. You may never know the answers, but just know that you have to keep trying.
Is there anything else you want the world to know about Conor?
I think that Conor is special, but everyone else is special out there. Don't ever forget that. And you're unique in your own ways, and you need to embrace that. And I think Conor certainly